Drop my fears and let it go. Stop repetition, rolling on. It's a one-way ticket to a roundabout. It's a one-way ticket to a roundabout. Learn to face this on my own, holding on to what I know. It's a one-way ticket to a roundabout. It's a one-way ticket to a roundabout. So it's 2 feet forward, carry on. Always been the one that's strong. It's a one-way ticket to a roundabout. It's a one-way ticket on. Drop my fears and let it go. Stop this cycle rolling on. It's a one-way ticket to a roundabout. It's a one-way ticket to a roundabout. And I learned to face this on my own, holding on to what I go. It's a one-way Change is coming, letting go. Radiation, I feel the flow warming up the part of me. I'm out to chase the sun. I'm out to chase the sun. We've only just begun to breathe. I'm out to chase the sun. Raining down, it falls on me as it hits the ground. My brain sets free. I'm out to chase the sun. The dust is settled. My head is clear. Illumination, 'cause you are near. Time moves on with every step. I'm out to chase the sun. I'm out to chase the sun. We've only just begun to breathe. I'm out to chase the sun. Raining down, it falls on me as it hits the ground. My mind sets free, and only now do I believe that the sun will always carry me. Moments moving, days are flying by outside my door. Moments moving, days are flying by outside my Raining down, it falls on me as it hits the ground. My mind sets free, and only now do I believe that the sun will always carry me.
Right. Hello and welcome to Stories and Sound. I'm Francis and today we're here with Dead Favours. It's been a bit of a process getting you guys on, just in terms of back and forth timing, trying to figure things out. Back in 2019, 2020, I think I first messaged you about it. And then you had some stuff happening and then obviously COVID happened.
Yeah.
But
Working
now
through
we're here.
a lot of lockdowns.
Yeah. But thanks for coming out.
Oh, thank you for having
Thanks.
us, man.
Yeah, yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's been fun.
Yeah. I mean, we're just starting.
Yeah, here we go.
Do we want to get some intros first off?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello, my name's Kyle.
Hi, Carl.
Hi, Carl.
Nice to meet you.
I play guitar,
Shreds guitar.
Yeah.
guitar player. Yep.
It's an understatement, but yeah, okay.
Yeah.
From the future.
I was sent back in time to shred your face off.
Plot twist.
I'm Jared, and I play guitar and I sing.
And I'm Charlie, and I hit things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. And then Alex isn't
drums, only drums.
Yes, Alex isn't here, but he
Almost got me.
plays bass guitar and he sings. And
Yeah. We don't really allow him to do this kind of stuff.
We put him back in his cage.
here. Yeah. We only let the lead off
Yeah.
long
Yeah,
enough
that's
for him to
right.
do his job, and then we pull it back in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I
He's
ask,
Canadian, you know.
How
Yeah.
come Charlie's only got one headphone thing in? Is that a pro move or is?
That is a pro move. So he can reference his own voice as well as
Yeah.
everyone else's.
Yeah, I don't know if you know about this, Carl, but for the last 7 years that we were a band, anytime we go into the studio, you talk like this.
Yeah, I do.
I've been meaning to mention it.
No, I speak like this.
Yeah.
You do have
come
quite a
down
sultry
real,
voice.
Yeah.
Real low and
sexy
sound.
man.
Do you do any voice work?
No, but I've been meaning to. Like I
Only
do.
in the bedroom.
I do.
Hey.
Like I do try and speak as low as I can. You know.
Just naturally.
Oh, that's on purpose.
Smooth listening. Yeah. Just on purpose. Yeah.
Like when you were checking the mic before, you just sort of go into those, definitely like lead into the low ones.
Yeah. Or I mean, any song can be low. You know,
Yeah.
like if you sing it
Velvet.
low. Yeah.
But you guys are about to, or by the time this comes out, it'll be out, but releasing part 2 of Riffing and Yelling.
Yeah.
What's been the process for that EP? You know, obviously Riffing and Yelling part 1. Has this one been a bit of a different approach?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it has. Like the writing, and I guess this is probably speaking for myself, but maybe everyone feels the same here. But like the writing's been a little bit more difficult to get across the line this time.
Right.
I don't know if it was just that we kind of we did part 1 and then we went straight into doing part 2 off the back of that, and writing constantly and rehearsals and pre-production and then studio time and then mixing, and like it's a lot. There's a lot. So I think we came straight off the back of part 1 and then we got sort of stuck into part 2, and I don't know, it seemed a little bit more difficult to get across the line, but at the same time there was lockdowns and there's been all the
Lots of
crazy
interruptions.
weather and
that doesn't
crazy
help.
things
Yeah.
that's kind of gone along with it. But at the same time, we have taken our time with this second EP, but I think that we've spent a lot of time trying to make it really fucking cool.
Yeah.
And I think there's a progression that comes in this EP, even from the first one. So
We kind of got to that point where it was like we were we had intended to do this part 1 part 2 thing where like we do part 1 and then there's a reasonably quick follow up, and because of the lockdowns we were already behind like what we had intended, and so we kind of went fuck it, like we might as well make this really good and not try and rush it, so like let's take our time and just follow the process kind of thing.
Because how did it come around doing the part 1 part 2? Like, because is that more of like a modern music kind of thing to try and
It's a combination of
get
reasons,
releases
really.
out a bit
it was
more
several
frequent,
things,
or-
man.
Yeah.
We went into it going, let's do 2 EPs, part 1 and part 2, and let's do it as a thing that we can put together. And it was for all sorts of different reasons: time, money, all just logistics,
time.
and time.
Also
and,
money.
and also money. Yeah. And I think we kind of liked the idea as well. We kind of talked about just let's go do another record, and it was like, well, is there anything different we can do, another approach? And originally we had talked about like we'll put the first EP out and then we'll spend 6 months writing, recording, and then put the second one out 6 months later. And that was a kind of original thought, and I guess just that time that we could put into it and learn from the last one that we did and just all that kind of stuff, it just kind of naturally progressed that way. But it was intentional, and it was just something different that we could do,
Yeah, and that's trying to keep it fresh.
Yeah.
Because you've all been in bands before, done albums, done singles, done everything like that before, and trying to come around and just keep the vibe different and interesting. Obviously, it's like different bands, different groups of people, so that's one difference. But sometimes that whole writing, recording process can be pretty similar. So
Yeah.
trying to throw a spanner in the works in some way,
Yeah.
you know, see what comes out after that.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Because what's the vibe been like for you guys for like being in a band with a lot of guys that have been in other bands before that have kind of done a lot of the learning, you know, like all the figuring shit out as far as being a band, playing shows, everything. Now you guys all coming in pretty seasoned. How has Dead Favours been versus previous experiences?
Guess a lot of egos though. Like when you get when you get into the studio, like everybody's the expert. You know, this guy especially. You know, like back when I worked in America, this is not how he's doing.
Yeah.
No, but I don't think we really like. We still, I think, are just open to suggestion from everyone.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
like we.
Yeah.
There's never a time where we would hire somebody, and this would be crazy if you did it. Nobody should do this. Is hire somebody to produce you and to like lead you on this journey, and then like really dig your heels in and second guess their idea. Like I feel like you got to give everything a shot. You know?
Yeah.
So yeah, like we all have varying degrees of experience in the past, but I kind of feel like, especially in this band, like you kind of shelf all of that and.
Yeah, there was still like a lot of
Celebration.
learning.
Mm.
Like we're still learning. Like,
Yeah.
Stepping in a bit.
yeah, it was like we might have experience, but it's like you're still in a new group of people, so like you've still got to learn each other. You know.
Yeah.
But I guess from having that experience with being in bands before, you come into it more open to the idea of like just going with the flow and what Kyle was saying was like not trying to like control the direction or anything like that. So you know, it's
Got to humble yourself.
yeah,
eh?
as much as
Yeah.
it's like we've got the experience that we know you never stop learning.
Yeah. And not to shut down an idea, you know, if like it might be something that comes out as gold. You know,
Yeah.
you never know
Yeah.
unless you try
Yeah.
it out.
And it's rare, but with those times where we can all four be like, hey, you know what? We prefer it this way. And all four of us agree or something. It's never been a problem to be like, all right, fine. You know,
Yeah.
it's all about give and take.
Like that majority rules kind of thing.
Yeah. I suppose we never really. Would you say we're as a full piece? It's kind of easy to do the majority rules, but I don't think we ever really operate in
Have
that
had
way.
to? Yeah.
I feel like it comes down to what it means to somebody. You know, like
It is a big part of it.
if you could hear
Yeah,
somebody saying something and they seem passionate about
Yeah.
their like or dislike or something, and you kind of know that you don't care that much,
Yeah.
like it's easy to concede that.
I
Yeah.
feel like we use the phrase "I'm going to die on this hill" a lot. Or
Yeah.
I'm not going to die on this hill,
Yeah,
and that's where
yeah.
it's like, okay, I'm not going to give up my opinion, even though you guys are all, you know, your opinion's different.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of comes down to that where it's like, you get to a point where you're like, all right, I'm sick of arguing about it. If it means that much to you, like, let's
Yeah.
do it your way. But every now and then there's like, nah, I can't let that go.
Well, I guess that's what would end up giving the song a bit more heart and a bit more soul
Mm-hmm.
because you're that passionate about it, can then translate across to the listener, and also when you're performing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because as far as the process that you guys go through, like, is there a primary writer that gets things going and then all comes together, or you kind of all just fish around and figure it out?
It really happens. It happens both ways for us. There's plenty of songs that we've written that Kyle's brought something to the table, or I've brought something to the table, and we sort of jam on a half-fleshed idea. And then there's times that we've written songs that are just they just come from 0 to 100% in a band setting, you know, and we just start jamming. And when we were writing for the first record, we've got this little batch up in Orewa that we have been up to a couple times, and we just book it out for the weekend and we bring all our shit up there and we just have a few drinks and cook some food and just jam, and we just kind of go back and forth all weekend. And a couple of songs on the last record was just born from us just jamming and having some drinks and just chilling, and like it was really you know, I don't know what's the word, authentic or whatever. You know,
Organic.
Organic sort of
just-
start to the song. And then there's plenty of songs that we've written that has come from, you know, one of us to kind of writing some demos and riffs and ideas and stuff at home, and and then brought it to a rehearsal room, and we jam it out and flesh it out into more of a song.
Yeah, so it's kind of the whole like quite, organic, almost like old school approach of everyone there working together, figuring it out, to the sort of more, I guess, modern approach, where it's sort of like piecemeal together a bit and then all coming into.
Yeah, but you know what? It's worth saying that we never let ourselves get stuck, and even to the point where we'll write a song to its completion where we know that it'll be finished in the studio.
Yeah.
So we don't get hung up on the details because we know that there's going to be a lot of evolution that the producer's going to want to do. So even if we write, for instance, as an example, like I would write a riff and we'd be like, this could be a chorus riff, this could be a verse riff or an intro, and then we'd jam it, and then maybe we end up with a minute. We've got a chorus with an intro and maybe a verse. That's enough for us to take into the studio.
Right.
Yeah.
We don't get hung up like trying to finish it before, because there's still pre-production where we can really hone that kind of stuff in. Songwriting doesn't really end with us. It's like we like input from other people, like outside
other people
point of view, when we're recording. So like it happens in lots of different ways, but there's got to be something to start with.
It comes down to not forcing it, eh? Like we'll write until we kind of hit that natural speed bump, and then go, cool. Like we've got a recording of that.
Yeah.
We'll listen back to that later, and then like pick it up again when we're feeling fresh. And
you don't force it.
we don't sit there.
The only thing that we could definitively say is that we have never stood there in the room, the four of us, and be like, all right, let's write a song.
No.
Like we can't do that.
Yeah.
It can't happen that way. Yeah.
And have you been in situations before where you've tried to, with other bands, whatever, where you've tried to force it in that way?
Oh, we've tried to force it in this way, in this band. In this band, and it just
doesn't work.
Well, you sit there trying to work on your idea while his amp's blasting his idea at you, and then
a better idea.
And Charlie's like texting, because what can he do at that point?
Well, I'm trying to let you guys have your money.
Exactly. No, it's not criticism.
He's just
by me.
updating Instagram on what's happening.
Yeah.
So
equally important.
Usually on Uber Eats.
Maybe it's worked. Has it ever worked? Like, have we ever done that?
No, I don't.
Yeah, I can't name a time that it has.
I don't know if this is bands in general or not, but we're not very good at that kind of like, okay, we need to write 5 songs today.
Yeah.
And then walking out of the room with 5 songs. We never fucking do that. No. But there's times that we are just meeting up to have a band practice for a show coming up, and we write 3 songs in the middle of band practice because we're like, someone's left the room and someone just starts jamming something. And you're like, oh, that's cool. That's good. You know, and it just kind of happens organically and.
Yeah, because you worked with Chris Mack as producer for Riffing and Yelling, both parts. Yeah, how did that relationship come about, and how's his kind of approach to things kind of, molded these songs? Yeah,
so I've been friends with him for a long time, and I think when we were talking about doing this next record, and we were talking about producers and that kind of thing, and we were like, who's local, who can we use? And I sort of threw around the Chris Mack idea just because me and him, when we get together, we talk about music a lot, and I feel like we're quite kind of in tune with, musical taste and all that sort of stuff. So I just, asked him, would you be interested? And then he was like, yeah, I could be interested. And we kind of got together and started chatting on what that looks like, and it just kind of went from there. But his musical influence, I guess, on us has been a lot different. So the first record we did with Tom Larkin, Tom Larkin is very methodical. He's very he's very hard worker, and he's kind of got a process, And it was great for us because I think it really whipped us into shape.
Especially as like a new band trying to get our shit together.
Yeah, and just learning, how we work together and all that kind of stuff. And then when we started working with Chris is just like, man, if it's cool, it's fucking cool. I don't give a shit. It could be opera. It's cool. Yeah, let's do it.
The ironic thing I kind of feel looking back on it now is like, we're like, well, Chris plays in this big pop band, so he's going to be really good at like kind of guiding us to writing some good hooks or whatever. But his whole thing's been like, if it feels good, do it. There's no wrong answers. Like if you try that idea and it doesn't sound good, then we won't use it. But like, so it's given us the ability to actually like go in more adventurous directions and stuff, which is kind of the opposite to almost what I thought it would. But at the same time, you know, the man knows a hook.
Yeah. And I've really enjoyed it. I think, especially just for me doing vocals and stuff, and we're trying a whole lot of things, and like we've talked so much previously about music and musical influence, and we'll be listening to, I don't know, a band or an album or something over a couple of beers, and it's like, man, this fucking vocal part, have you heard this? That's fucking cool, man.
Yeah.
And why did who thinks of that, you know? And just all those kind of things. And then we're coming into doing this, these EPs, and it was like, when we start getting an idea and running with that, we kind of both kind of, you know, on the same page already, which is a big help to it. Helps you explore things, I guess.
Yeah. Because who ended up like sort of mixing and putting it together?
So Neil Bulldog, so he engineered and mixed both of them, who I worked with probably 10 years ago. Did a record with him at Roundhead, and again, when we were talking about engineers, I think me and Charlie were talking, and I was like...
He just moved back to New Zealand,
I'd seen
right?
on
Yeah.
Facebook, because he went to LA for ages, and then I'd just seen that he'd come back to New Zealand, and I was like, I don't know if he's doing anything, he's just come home.
Yeah.
He was busy hanging out with Billy Ray Cyrus.
Yeah. So I just reached out to him. I was like, hey, man, I'm in this band, Dead Favours. Gonna make a record, you know? Are you interested in doing some engineering and blah, blah, blah? And so originally he was going to engineer, and he did that. And then we were like, who should we get to master and, mix? And he had kind of done half of it through the process of engineering as we made the record. So it just made
Kind
sense.
of setting levels as it goes to try and feel like a song as it comes in.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. So it was, again, that relationship just kind of was one that just felt right.
Yeah, it just felt easy.
And
And,
then, and then
Came along.
Chris Shetland from Cog, who's like, you know, New Zealand's legend,
Go-to,
legend masterer. And him, I think him and Neil have worked a lot together. So like they knew, like Neil knew how to set up the mixes for Chris to do his thing.
Yeah.
So that was also like another real natural like match. Yeah.
Yeah. No, nice. Because as far as the actual recording process for this, did you guys full band track? Did you sort of do each part on its own? What's the go?
Bit of a hybrid, eh?
Yeah.
So, yeah, we full band tracked in one location at, what was it called?
For this one, Revolver.
Revolver.
Yeah.
At Waiuku, Jack.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and so
Awesome
like as
studio.
the...
Cannot honestly recommend it enough.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, and then kind of use that as the bread, you know, and then we kind of layer on a bunch of stuff, get way
A
too
bit of jam, a
experimental.
bit of cheese. Wait, jam and cheese.
Yeah, and like too much almost, you know, and then we kind of try and pull it back.
Yeah. What was the metaphor
Until
that you guys were using? Like throw a bunch of paint at the wall and then strip it back.
Yeah, basically. And I guess going back to your like question about Chris, you know, that I don't know if this is how he normally works or is it just as the style that was developed with us, but it kind of felt that way, that it was very like throw paint at a wall, and we were lucky enough to have a bit of time and stuff, I guess, to be able to try that stuff. And it was like we were just trying all sorts of things, and then when it came to mixing, it was like, okay, now we need to strip back a lot. We
There's a lot
Sink or
going
Swim,
on,
I think, was like 124 tracks or something. It was like just crazy.
Holy crap.
So much. And so Neil's trying to mix it. And it's like, there's so many tracks. So we're stripping stuff back and all these ideas, and you kind of get to a point where you're like, oh, okay, I like this direction, and that part fucking sounds cool there. And so you kind of just, you know, playing with the colors, I guess.
Yeah. Do you end up sort of in those situations where it just looks like it's just getting a bit overboard? Do you ever feel like the option is just cut it right back to the core elements and then bring back in some of those extra pieces?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the point of the process.
Yeah.
You know, is you just overload with a bunch of stuff, and then at least you have it there.
Yeah.
Then you can mute it all.
Yeah. It's the brilliant of
And then
digital
try
recording,
the different parts, you know. In this verse, maybe you'd want something a little bit different to liven it up, so you can add one of the crazy things you tried. You know?
Yeah, because I think that approach of like jamming the songs out and, you know, tracking them as a band, especially for your style of music, like it you can feel that presence around the songs.
Hope so, yeah.
Yeah, even like But even if it doesn't end up being used in that way, that kind of energy is still there, you know, and it just makes it feel more, again, organic, and kind of authentic in that way.
Yeah. Well, that's cool to hear.
Yeah. And do you feel like it's quite stressful doing that? Because obviously if you're tracking your part and it's just sort of like, cool, I've got this riff that I just need to get perfect and I can repeat that. Whereas when you're tracking as a band, you're like, shit. All right.
I find it stressful, not in terms of like being able to track the parts, but really committing to a sound or a tone that early on.
Yeah.
Where, I mean, even recording today, you know, it's a great example of like your amps in another room. You don't have the luxury of really sitting down and like dialing it in.
Yeah.
So in the studio, it can be like that sometimes. Is like
committing to a tone.
it's like it's so quickly, like there's this gradient that goes from everybody talking about tracking drums, because that's what you're doing, and then all of a sudden you're tracking parts that are going to make the album, and that can be stressful because you're like, well, no, wait, I haven't
really
tried my
about
pedal,
this.
you know. So first album was totally different. That was like, we did play live in the room all the time when you track drums, but every guitar take was different amp, different guitar, different thought process, you know.
Right.
So it can be stressful because of how fast it moves and how sure you need to be early on, or rather how much you're willing to let go.
Yeah. Because like there's a thing nowadays that people just almost like can't commit to a tone or to a sound, and then I've heard of stories of like bands spending days on finding a guitar tone that they're kind of happy with. Then when it comes to mixing, they just kind of ditch those tracks and reamp the DIs anyway. And so with the modern way of doing things, it's almost like you're saying, like when you're doing the writing process, it's like not getting too caught up on like trying to get a polished, finished song. You know, like, cool, let's get it to a good enough point, and that'll get the idea across, and then we can refine it all later. I guess that's the same approach from a tone point of view nowadays.
We actually had a funny like ongoing joke that happened with both EPs, and it came from Neil, who was engineering and mixing, and we had this thing that we would say through all of our tracking, which was, we'll send an apology later, or like we'll fix it in post.
Yeah.
And so it was always
The
like
classic.
Issue an apology.
Yeah, it was always like, so we
How many apologies did you have to list?
So we started building this list of apologies that we'd put in the album notes, and like, so it was like, I really liked that take, but there was that one note that I kind of didn't get like perfect. It was like, we'll just list it in the apologies.
That one band was slightly off.
And so, and it was that kind of thing of like, you know, like you didn't quite get it perfect or whatever it was, but you could spend the next 3 days like honing in on this thing and fucking doing this one thing, and it's like, you know what, it's actually pretty sweet, man.
Yeah.
It's good, and it sounds good. And also, if you're worried about the tone, it'll probably change when we mix it anyway. So, you know, let's just fucking send an apology later.
Quite a good, it's quite a good nod, though, at the end. Like, I've never thought about it like that, where if you listen to the EP, the end of the last song on it is Jared apologizing.
I sang the wrong note.
And we kind of like, we took it out and then we put it back in. And like, now that you kind of put it in that term, I'm like, I'm really glad we put that in there now. Yeah.
I mean,
you have to go and listen to it.
All, it all links
full
up.
circle.
Yeah, full circle. Yeah. Because as far as singing's concerned, what's your kind of, I guess, journey been like? Because you didn't start out as a vocalist.
No.
And sort of what brought you into it, and then how did you come into where you are today?
So I always played guitar, but obviously in Stereogram I just played drums, and I played guitar when we were writing and helped write some of the songs and stuff, but I never did lyrics and all that kind of thing. So I don't know, once Stereogram kind of like finished, I started this covers band just because I wanted to play guitar and sing, because I'd been doing drums for ages. So I did that for a couple of years, and then Charlie put this message on Facebook, and we kind of got together, and Dead Favours started, and I sort of found myself in this position of, like I'm singing and I'm going to write lyrics now, and I hadn't done that before. So there was a whole process of like, what shit, what do I want to say? What do I want to do? I don't even know how this works. And honestly, it hasn't been until probably this last EP that I've actually found what my kind of, how I kind of work with writing lyrics and that whole process for me. So it has been just a journey to kind of understand how do I, because I'm not a dude that was just going to write about like we go to the beach and sit in the sun. Like it all has to kind of connect somehow to mean something to me. So I've kind of finally got to the point where I understand how I can draw stuff out of my head, what I want to say, not making it shit, not making it cheesy, but still kind of something that has some like context to it, you know?
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm really only now at that point. It has been a journey of just trying to understand. And I think the biggest thing that I found that's easiest on this EP is like I just started writing, like just journaling a whole lot of fucking thoughts.
Yep.
And then I would take those and I'd put them into, okay, how can I make like 3 paragraphs with that one kind of idea? And then took that and adapted it to songs when the songs were forming, you know?
Yeah. So you already had ideas of themes and things that you wanted to kind of talk about, not necessarily in a way that was melodically lined out, not like you've written a poem that you then translate across, but it's just an idea that you then
an idea that was like, oh, I can write about that, you know? And it's, I don't know, for that kind of thing, it's like I can't sit down and go, oh, I'm going to just write some lyrics now that like I'm really happy with. It comes when it kind of comes. I don't know if that's the emotional connection or whatever.
It's the same thing, but like before, you said like you're not forcing it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So some like probably half the lyrics on this EP I've written at my desk while I'm working at 10:30 in the morning in the fucking office. Yeah. You know? Because it's like, oh no, something's come to my head. Yeah. And I just kind of like shut my door for half an hour and then
or just sing into your voice.
Yeah.
So how come like, because that I never knew that. But it does raise questions like, you know, you have friendships with Charlie and me. You bought a boat.
I did.
Like, why are there no songs coming out about those topics?
I thought Sink or Swim was about going to the beach.
Like, fucking emotionally connect with me. Like, I don't know. It's like they're just happy thing. I don't know.
What would song about Kyle be?
Yeah, I'm curious.
I got the pickup truck.
Go on.
He's the fucking most amazing guitarist I've ever played with.
Bring out your book.
That would be the song about Kyle. I'd be like, I'm trying to fucking live in your shadow and learn your riffs, but
there you go. Yeah.
So many times that he'll bring a riff to the band room and I'm like, I can't play that.
Yeah.
So if you go back and look through a bunch of our songs and then find when the riffs start happening, I go. There's a song called Chase the Sun, and the bridge. This is on this EP, and the bridge is like diddle 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 diddle. Diddle 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 diddle, and it's like that fast. And I remember when he brought it to the pre-production, and he's playing the thing, and I'm just standing there going, no. So literally, I go over what he's doing.
Equally important.
Yeah.
Okay, now
it's colour.
Now talk about Charlie's drumming.
He's not even the best drummer in Dead Favours.
I've actually heard that. Like, I think you said that about Kyle before. In regards,
he's not even the best guitar player in Dead Favours.
Oh no, it was more the other way. Like, through Fire at Will. Yeah. Like how you're kind of like he's literally one of the best guitarists.
I was a guitar consultant.
Yeah. And is that what kind of stemmed the whole idea of you guys starting something up?
Starting a band? Well, so Kyle and I knew each other, and we lived together at one point, at least one house.
Stepping a little closer.
And he always used to hit me up and be like, when are we having a jam? When are we doing this? When are we doing that? And when my old band kind of
That's not how I remember it. I thought you were all just like, bro, I know you're busy.
That's the official story.
Okay. Yeah. No, we'll go with your story. Go on. But just so you know.
Yeah. There's 2 stories. I don't
carry
know.
on with your lie.
Kyle was always down for a jam, and when I ended up not having, the old band kind of like fizzled out, and didn't continue, and so I was like just trying to think about putting something new together, and Kyle was like on the couch over there, and I was like, oh yeah, actually he's pretty good. And so when I suggested that we do a band, he was like, yeah, cool, let me know when you found a singer, like I'll see if I can make some time.
Yes. You remember, I mean, Francis will know at the time I was in Stone Dogs.
Oh, bro.
You know, like, it was no
It was
slouch,
great.
It was
like,
a great.
yeah, like, the great. They're like, I had options, you know.
That's not a was as well. That's just, it's on the back burner,
Yeah,
but it's
yeah,
still
yeah.
there. all right?
Yeah. That's
Dead
immortalized.
Favours is a side project.
But
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
essentially it. Like, Fire at Will, we're already jamming together.
Yeah.
So we're really kind of like bonded, you know. You
Yeah.
know, cats bond together, like when they're, you know,
Having sleepovers.
two cool cats, yeah. In our jammies. It's like, so I think a new band was a natural progression.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I
And-
was just kind of like, well, if you can find a real good singer,
And then
we settled for
yeah,
Jared, but
yeah.
like,
We're still on the hunt.
still,
if
yeah,
anyone's
still open.
keen.
Yeah.
We're looking for a singer.
Because did you have an idea of what kind of music you guys wanted to
Yeah.
actually do?
Yeah, and it
we
didn't
wanted
turn out
we wanted
anything
to
like
be
it.
the Black Keys. We were
Yeah,
just
pretty
like,
much,
let's
yeah.
be like blues dads,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. It was gonna go real dirty blues, or I think,
Mother?
or I think I'd suggested kind of, was it like Deftonesy or Muse or something along those lines, and then Jared's like, well, let's do the blues one, and then it didn't even like turn out like that anyway.
I think for the first 6 months we were that.
Yeah.
We were
Yeah,
that
yeah.
kind of bluesy thing, and
Yeah.
then we sort of we wrote Dig, and then we got funding and we recorded Dig, and then we were like, oh, this is cool. And then when we first worked with
Yeah.
Tom, I think he helped us kind of bring
Yeah.
a bit of colour out of
Right.
us, you know?
We
Yeah,
should
yeah.
But
And a bit of personality.
We've said this before, but even Dig, like, it's a blues riff. I mean,
Yeah.
if you listen to those little beans, like, bow, dow, da, dow,
Yeah.
it was all the intention
We
was
should,
to
I reckon-
be bluesy,
Bluesy.
you know,
I reckon we should leak our own stuff. Leak the
demo.
the demo
Oh,
of Dig is so bad.
Oh,
Like,
man.
it's a bunch of. We were at that beach house that we mentioned earlier,
Yeah.
and we're shit faced, and it's not good. But somehow we got Tom to go. Yeah, I'll have a crack with these guys.
Yeah.
Just pay me in advance.
Which is
and-
kind of straight. Like, in hindsight, when you listen to, because Tom, you know, like, the impression we were under was that he's not just going to work with anybody. He's too
Yeah.
busy for
Yeah.
that, you know. And then, like, we sent him that. Like,
In hindsight,
yeah.
Putting
Yeah.
our best foot forward, eh?
Yeah.
Idiots.
Oh, he took the bait though, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somehow.
Fucking
Yeah.
worked out. Yeah.
Yeah. Because how much did that song change? Because I remember being part of the music video for that one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which was a super cool concept. Actually, I'll go into that anyway because that's cool. Anyway, that like from a music video point of view, like you guys always come up with really interesting stuff. Is that something that you enlist others for, or do you come up with a concept and then find someone to fill it?
Bit of both.
Yeah. I'd like to think that we come up with a lot of it, but I guess there has been a few. I guess the last couple that we've done have been Swap has been doing
like,
those.
Like
and-
the earlier videos, I think we came up with like the initial concept,
Yeah.
and maybe had a little bit more to do with
Mm.
that. But then, the last couple, like, was it Move On and Sink or Swim? Like Move On, we were like, well, it's got a dance beat, so like, we want to do something dancey, and we looked at, I think it was like Fatboy Slim videos as references and stuff like that, and like, I mean, it's nothing like a Fatboy Slim video, but that's kind of the direction that we started with, and
Yeah.
then Sink or Swim. We basically just gave Swap the song, and he was like, here's 3 ideas. And then I forwarded them on. I must have been busy one day and was like, here's the ideas. And you guys like talked to me and, yeah, cool, I like that one. And I went, yep, cool. And I never really like read the thing. And I like turned up to shoot it and I was like, we're doing what? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it worked out.
Yeah, it's a fun
Yeah.
video.
Yeah. But we
Yeah.
do have a lot of other cool video ideas up our sleeves, you know, for the future. Like,
Yeah.
we always, I think that's kind of a fun thing to do in the car when you're driving somewhere, is be like, wouldn't this be hilarious for a video, you know?
Actually, yeah, full credit to Kyle. He made our On Your Own music video completely from scratch. I remember we shot it. He made his own green screen.
Yeah.
Had us like, it was like an office where had the green screen come down, and he was like, and I remember because I was hungover that day, and he was like, all right, get on the green screen, and I want you to run on the spot, and then I want you to be like, like some reaction shots, and then like he just
It's just
took all
like,
this
trust
stuff.
me, trust me.
Yeah, he took all this stuff. Oh, we were wearing like weird costumes too, and he took all this stuff away and made this ridiculous music video of us like flying jets and fighting space ninjas and like blowing
Riding
shit up,
T-Rexes.
Yeah.
doing backflips and like, and so we've been talking about doing a sequel to that for ages. Which,
Well, how long
which
did
really keen.
that video take you to make?
I want to say maybe 80 to 100 hours.
Yeah.
Or so. But this obviously is a lot of rendering. You know, if this is
Yeah.
After Effects like linking into Premiere, and this just takes a lot of time.
Totally
Yeah.
know what you're talking about.
But the next one will be like track cameras in 3D environments and stuff. So if you want to help out, that'd be amazing. But go and watch that video and go and watch that video.
Yeah, it's a real fun video.
I think more than anything, all of our kind of videos link towards just not taking ourselves seriously.
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah,
you just
that's
don't give a
100%
shit. Like,
the
and
vibe
it's
that I
like
get.
Yeah.
you're making a music video for
Yeah.
entertainment. You know,
Yeah.
we're a rock band
Also,
and we take
yeah.
ourselves seriously. But when you're doing something like that, it's like, man, just let's
Yeah.
just have fun.
I
Take
don't
the piss.
think any of our videos actually relate to what the songs are about.
No.
I can't name one. Like, it's more like the vibe that the song gives.
Yeah.
Like, there's
Yeah.
a circus one that had the kind of like,
Yeah.
we're like, yeah, it's kind of circusy, and
it's
then
fun.
Dig felt like a party song. Like, I remember someone commented on it on YouTube, and they're like, I don't think this is a party anthem, but the video's cool.
Yeah.
Like, it just doesn't match up at all. But like, you know, don't overthink it.
Well,
Yeah.
we should have taken it down.
Yeah. But yeah, don't
Just
over-
right
Missed
away.
opportunity.
Yeah, we just don't overthink it, and like, yeah, we don't like, you know. I think we're all like Foo Fighters fans, and
Yeah,
and
yeah.
they generally
Yeah, that
don't like
same
to
kind
take
of
it
thing,
too
you know?
seriously.
Yeah.
So I think the next one
Yeah,
will all
have
be in
fun.
drag for sure.
In drag.
I think
Yeah.
if we
Nice.
I'm in.
If Dave Grohl
Yeah.
can do it, we can do it.
if we
Yeah.
try to make a serious video, we would sabotage it.
Yeah, it's
And
true.
well, we
It'll
kinda
be the end of our career.
I don't
I'm not gonna,
yeah.
I'm not gonna name
It's,
anything.
it's
but-
not something we've decided. It's
Yeah.
just something that is
Yeah.
compulsive to us. You know.
Yeah. Now it comes across really well as far as like, no, you're like you're saying, it doesn't necessarily have to link in with the lyrics, but it links in with the vibe. And that's, you know, again, coming back to that organic kind of thing, like that keeps it real.
Yeah.
And then lets that entertainment factor just bleed through. You're not trying to make it something it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not trying to make this epic piece of dramatic
yeah,
like
yeah.
cinema. You
But
know, you're just out there having
yeah,
fun.
yeah,
But
yeah.
in saying that, they're still really well produced.
Yeah, that's it. Like, we take it seriously, whereas like we want to put out a good product, but
Yeah,
we don't
yeah.
take ourselves too
Yeah, for
seriously.
sure.
So let's have fun with it. You know,
Like the product's
Yeah,
serious, but
yeah.
the journey of it's
pretty much
having fun.
everything we do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's 100%.
You guys have had a bit of a revolving door as far as like bass players are concerned. Like sort of what's in terms of this the recent writing sort of sessions, what's Alex kind of brought to the table? You know, obviously he was with Skinny Hobos and everything before, and they had like a real vibe and feel and things, and sort of how's he come into the mix of a band with more than two people, and what's the elements that he's kind of brought forward for Dead Favours?
Yeah, I mean, firstly, for Alex, he did so fucking well. He literally walked in, two
Learned our
weeks
songs,
before
like,
we
overnight,
started
yeah.
pre-production
Yeah.
for that first EP.
Yeah.
Like,
Really?
he just walked in and he just picked everything up so quickly. So, like, amazing fucking musician,
Yeah,
very
yeah.
intuitive.
Yeah.
But I would say the biggest thing that he's brought to our band is tone.
Yeah.
He fucking
Yeah,
just
Oh yeah.
aced. Like, as soon as he started playing,
Ooh,
we
there's
were
the-
like, oh yeah, that's yeah,
all that
okay.
gap.
I can feel that. I
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that. And then there was
Just bite the bottom
a
lip, eh?
period
Just
of
like-
him kind of figuring out how we work and, you know, how we kind of write and that kind of thing. And to be honest, we were still kind of figuring that out as well. And
Yeah.
then we were with a new producer and
Yeah.
how that whole thing works. So,
Yeah.
you know, he was a fucking champ, man. He just walked in. He was thrown in the deep end and he walked in and he brought fucking amazing tone and he brought great ideas and he picked everything up quickly. And we just couldn't have asked for
Yeah.
a better transition.
Yeah. I quite often say also though, like with the writing process, I always felt like it was like having a producer within the band. So like when we were jamming and writing ideas and stuff, he just had this way of kind of like hearing it like separating himself and hearing what we were doing, and he'd just have these really interesting ways of going like, okay, yeah, but let's do it that way, or why don't you try that? And it was like, shit, yeah, that sounds really good. And that was before we even got to like the pre-production stage of like actually breaking it down and you know, working with the producers. So it was almost like the songs went through several layers of being produced.
So it was like the ability to see what it could be,
he had that outside
and kind of playing
perspective,
like,
yeah.
oh, it could go in this direction. Let's try something like that.
Yeah, he just come up with ideas of like, okay, that's cool, but try it this way. And I was like, yeah, like, yeah. So yeah, you know.
Yeah.
Well, one other thing for Jared and I especially is like we really got to like vulture all of the gear,
Oh yeah.
All of
the
his pedals?
equipment. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that was a big thing. Like
Well, he
when
had 2 pedal boards to pick from.
yeah, exactly. When he was
And
coming
then
in, we're like,
everything else.
That
oh
was
man.
just what was on the
Yeah,
pedal
yeah.
boards. Yeah.
Yeah, so amps, you know, guitars, nice guitars,
Yeah.
pedals.
Yeah.
So that was very important to have somebody who. Because I
It
mean,
was
like,
actually the fundamental decision.
Yeah,
to
yeah,
bring it
yeah.
on board.
because it's kind of like that saying, only one of your friends needs to own the boat. You know,
Yeah.
so it's like it's not my
Thanks for
amp, it's
getting
not
a
my
boat,
pedals,
Jared.
but we get to use it. You know,
Yeah.
So that has to be said as well. That was a
Yeah.
big awesome
A
thing.
big factor, you know.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, what has he got in his catalog?
That's
All
right.
let's go with
exactly. Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a dick though,
Oh yeah.
but he's
Never liked
he's
it.
a good musician with gear. So like, you know.
You can write off that side of it.
Yeah.
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 And because you guys are about to go on tour,
Yes.
and as far as when this comes out, you'll probably be like mid-tour or in and around the
Yeah.
start of it.
Yeah.
What are things looking like for the rest of the year for you guys?
I'm gonna take a nap.
We don't know. I
Yeah.
think we're purposefully keeping it open. We just want to be a bit reactionary for a little while.
Yeah.
You know.
Focus is on the tour at the moment, and then we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
kind of
we
thing.
haven't really planned anything.
Yeah. I mean, there'll be another album at some point. We'll just
Yeah, we're
Play
still
it by ear.
writing.
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
we still have ideas
yeah.
dripping
Kyle's
in.
like sending through all these riffs.
Yeah.
I think we have definitely we're going to keep ourselves open, and I'm sure things will come along. But at the same time, we're kind of like we've been working almost non-stop for the last
Yeah.
couple of years and doing these EPs and stuff, and it's been a lot of fun. But it's like kind of at the point where like when the tour's done, we're like, okay, let's just catch our breath for a second.
Yeah, for sure.
That doesn't mean that everything's stopping. It's just like just gonna have a breather.
Just pump the
Yeah.
brakes a
And
little.
so I guess we're just kind of actively not planning what's happening after the tour, but at the same time, I'm sure the tour generates momentum and some things will come along. So don't really know.
Yeah.
Don't
Yeah.
really know is the answer.
Reminds me, I've been playing phone tag with Dave Grohl. I'd really call that guy back. I think he wants something.
Do you think that kind of, played into the songs being a bit more challenging to get over the line, as far as for this EP? Like that you'd been kind of working pretty consistently for so long that you kind of felt a little bit of that. I don't know if it's burnout or if it's just sort of like just something that was just you're hitting a bit of a.
I'd definitely say that for me. I can't speak for everyone else, but I think there's probably lots of factors, and there's like definitely the last couple of years I kind of feel like we have been just going pretty hard and really constant, and coupled with that we've gone through a fucking crazy COVID couple of years and recessions and weather and all sorts of stuff, and then there's been stuff that's happened in our personal lives and all that kind of thing. So I think just getting to the real kind of like last 20% of making this EP, all those things have just it's all kind of compiled together. It's like, oh fuck, I'm really running out of energy here. I don't have a lot more push.
And now we have to like rehearse and go on tour.
Yeah, but for me, like I feel like that's the easier side.
Yeah, okay.
Like I can do that because all the creative side and all the kind of emotional attachment to it is done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you can kind of get together and rehearse the song, and and it takes effort and stuff. But
and shows us when it kind of pays off. Eh?
Yeah,
like,
it's a
you
super
get
fun
going
part of
and
it.
Get all the
a lot less
the
pressure.
endorphins and
yeah,
This kind of flies in the face of what he said before when he was all like, well, I can't play his riffs. It's so hard to play his riffs. And all of a sudden he's like, oh, this is the easy part. Well, which one
no,
is it?
it is the easy part because all I do is go.
Oh, true.
No, thank you guys so much for coming on.
Thanks for having us, man. It's been fun.
Oh,
it's
real
been
fun.
Awesome hearing you guys play. I've seen you guys before anyway, but then having this chat as well. Just love learning about people's stories, and thanks heaps for coming on.
No, I appreciate
Thank
it.
you,
No worries.
Thank you for having
Thanks,
us.
Yeah. Thanks everybody for watching. Like, share, subscribe, all that sort of jazz. Check out Dead Favours. If this is out while they're still on tour, then go check them out on a show.
Yes, please.
If it's out after they've finished the tour, go check them out at a show. And check out Riffing and Yelling Part 2, Part 1, Misbehaviour, everything that they've ever put out. It's a good time.
Thank you.
But cheers.
Cheers.